If your Shopify dashboard looks like this, then you're going to want to watch all of this video. What's poppin', people? It's your boy the Beast of Ecom, and I am back with another video dropping nothing but you already know, value bombs. So if your Shopify dashboard looks like this, whereby you are getting traffic from your Facebook adverts but no one is purchasing from your dropshipping store, then in this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly how you can analyze your Facebook adverts, make those changes so you can finally get some purchases on your Shopify store. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you inside one of my ad accounts and show you a previous winning product, and I'm going to show you the first 3 days, and I'm going to show you what I'd actually look for and what you need to be looking for in terms of if you can determine whether or not this is a winning product or not, or what changes you need to make. So if you're struggling to make Shopify sales or not getting as many as you would like to, watch all of this video. I can guarantee that you're going to get tons of value out of it. Before we jump into all of that, if you could do just one thing for me, and that is just to drop a like on this video. Helps out the channel, helps out the algorithm, and of course make sure you drop a comment down below with any questions that you have with anything that I covered in this video, whether it be what you thought was the best part or anything that is unclear, or if you just drop a comment for the algorithm, I'll be fully appreciated. So make sure you drop a comment down below as well. If you happen to be new to the channel, then welcome. Make sure of course you smash that subscribe button with of course the notification bell on so that you stay up to date with all of my latest content. So let's quit the talking and let's jump straight into this video. Okay, so this is inside of one of my ad accounts, okay? And like I said, I'm just going to show you the first 3 days of this and show you some of the metrics, okay? So you can understand what I look for or what you should be looking for when you're analyzing your first 3 days, okay? Now, this went on to obviously to be a profitable product. You can see here the ROAS was 2.64, okay, over those first 3 days. So essentially we've got a winning product on our hands, okay? Now, in terms of what I should be looking for, let's say for example, this isn't 2.64, okay? And it's 0.1 or it's 1 ROAS or I'm breaking even. Out of all of these metrics that are happening, okay, what should you be looking for? And I'm going to talk about that inside of this here, inside of the ad account, so it paints a clearer picture for you. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to a bit of a presentation at the end just to clear things up and give you some bullet pointed solutions of what you need to do of each and every single step to help you make some sales on your dropshipping store. Okay, so when I'm first looking at my Facebook adverts, okay, no matter what product I'm testing out, the first thing you need to do is make sure that you've got your columns all set up correctly. Right? Now, I'm not going to go into how to set it all up. Again, if you want to pause this video, then feel free to pause this video and take a screenshot of these ones that are all up. But this is generally what I like to have up. Sometimes I'll change this to outbound clicks and I'll change this to like unique, etc. But overall, these are the metrics that you need to be looking at to understand your funnel and understand where the changes that you need to be making in order to make sales. Okay, so now that we've cleared that up, the final thing I want to say, of course, is that I'm assuming that the person watching this video has some sort of understanding of the names of these things. So CTR, which is link click-through rate. If you hover over these as well, Facebook will give you a basic tutorial of what they mean. So I'm not going to go into that either. So let's get into the nitty gritty, okay? We're looking at this winning product of over 3 days, right? Now, the first thing I always look for is the click-through rate, the link click-through rate, okay? Some people have it on all. I like to have this here, but you need to realistically know what the link click-through rate, how many people have clicked the link on the advert that is being shown on Facebook, okay? Now, my basic metric, and I'm going to give you some basic metrics when I go into the presentation as well, is I ideally like this to be over 1%, okay? Anything less than 1% is not really that great. Again, this one here is not that great at all. Some of them have got 1.88. We've got some at 1.7. But ideally, I always like to shoot for over 1%, right? Now, ideally, I like to be higher than that, which is, 1.5 is generally my basic mark. But again, 1% is plausible. Now, one thing I will say, of course, is that just because you've got a low link click-through rate, it doesn't mean that you can't make the product profitable, because what will happen is, But what can happen is if you have a low CPM, which I'll talk about in a moment in time, this is obviously £4, which is about $8 in conversion, you can still make things profitable because again, we're still getting cheap cost per clicks and cheap add to carts. But overall, of course, this here at 1.2 ROAS wasn't profitable. So the first thing I'm always looking at, and the first thing you need to look at, is what your link click-through rate is, okay? This metric here. If it's lower than 1%, okay, then you need to make some changes, and I'm going to tell you what those changes are or what you can do. Some things what I would mention is that you can potentially change your creative. So you can change things such as your thumbnail. You can change the first 3 seconds of your video. You can change the audience who you are targeting, because again, you got to remember that all of these are different interests, right? Hence why some of them are not doing that good. So this interest again isn't fantastic, but this one here, the product and the creative, is resonating more with people with this interest rather than this one here, okay? And that's the reason why we test multiple interests, because every single interest will have a different response rate, okay? Now, moving on, one thing I will talk about is your CPM. Now, with CPM, it's basically your cost per impressions, cost per 1,000 impressions. Now, we're specifically in Q4, and Q4, obviously, what's going to happen is CPMs are going to be higher. And sometimes CPMs very much come down to the niche that you're in, makeup of your creative as well. And it's your price in the auction, and also varying factors such as your quality rankings and those kind of things. I generally like to shoot for a CPM which is under $25. Ideally, the lower the better. And what I will mention with click-through rate is obviously the higher click-through rate, the better, right? With CPMs, again, it's very hard to get those CPMs down because there's so many varying factors. You're not really in control of the auctions and who you're bidding against. So it's very hard to decrease CPMs, but I'll give you some kind of solutions that you can do when we go on to the presentation, right? Now, the other things I like to look at, okay, this is very important as well, is my view contents, okay, and add to carts ratio, okay, not ratio, sorry, my percentage. So out of this number here, so how many people who have viewed the product page, out of those 930 people, how many of them are adding to their cart, okay? This is very important metric, again, that gives me a quick idea of how well my product page is doing, okay? So out of here, I always like to shoot for 10%. Now, this is just a basic number. Again, the higher the percentage, the better, okay? So for example, every 10 people, every 100 people who view the product page, we want to be seeing at least 10 people adding it to their cart. You can see here, I'm just a little bit over 10% here because of course 930, this would be 93, for example. That's 10%, right? So ideally, we can see we're doing better here, okay, on this product. And you can see here we're getting add to carts for £2, right? So that's one thing I'll always like to shoot for. And again, 10% is just a ballpark number that I found be consistent across loads of different winning products in loads of different niches, should I say, okay? Now, this ratio here, okay, I then like to look at what's my add to cart, okay? How many people who add to cart then go on to initiate checkout, okay? That's another important metric. And again, at this point, I like to shoot for around 70%. I like to see about 70% or higher of people who add to their cart, then go on to initiate checkout, okay? That's a very important percentage as well. And again, when I head into the presentation, I'm going to give you some solutions of every single step of where you may be lacking in this funnel and help you out so that you can go away, have some actionable content to go away and make those changes to improve your Shopify sales, right? Now, out of this number here, of course, from initiate checkouts, the next step is, of course, the purchase, right? So how many people who are initiating checkout on our website, how many of those are purchasing? Now, out of this, I like to see 50%. You can see here, this is not quite 50%. It's close by, but it's not quite 50%, even though it may be, because obviously with Facebook, there's always, it doesn't pick up and doesn't always report the true amount. So you might want to double check in your Shopify dashboard how many purchases you're actually getting in comparison to how much Facebook is reporting, because 9 times out of 10 you'll always find that there is some sort of inconsistencies there. But again, I always like to shoot for in 50% in Facebook, in my Facebook reporting, right? So out of this, if let's just say that this was 60, okay, I would like to see 30 purchases. So every 2 people who initiate checkout, 1 person purchases, right? So that's a quick overall of what I like to look at in terms of my metrics and what I'm looking at in the funnel. But of course, it depends sometimes on the product that you are selling, because of course you can afford to have a higher add to cart ratio or a lower add to cart ratio if your product is very high ticket and you've got a high margin. Okay, so that's one thing that I'm looking at again over those first 3 days. Now let's actually look and give you some actionable content to help you go away and make some sales on your dropshipping store and analyze your Facebook adverts, but essentially. So first and foremost, I need to explain the buyer's journey really quickly, okay? And I'm going to break all of these down, okay, and give you some actionable contents in every single step, so that you basically know where you're getting stuck in your Facebook adverts. So first and foremost, we've got views advert. So everyone with the buyer's journey, someone's on Facebook, they scroll, they see your advert, okay? Then from there, they have to click through to your product page. So at this point, of course, the main metrics are, your CTR and your CPC, okay? So what's your cost per click and what's your click-through rate, right? Then once they land on this product page, okay, it's what's your view content to add to cart percentage, right? So how many people who are landing on that product page, okay, are then clicking the add to cart button, okay? From there, we've got people who add to cart, whether you're using a page or a drawer cart, whatever it may be. How many of those people who have clicked and fired that pixel, how many of those then go on to initiate the checkout? What's that percentage? And again, like I've mentioned, I ideally like to see that it's around 70%, okay? And then, of course, we've got the initiate checkout to purchase. So how many people who are currently filling out the forms, because they have to fill out their shipping information, then of course they have to put in their credit card information, etc. How many at that point then actually click the complete purchase? And at that point, of course, I like to say, like I've mentioned, 50%. And then all of this, okay, all of this will make up your overall conversion rate. So from here, your product page to your overall conversion rate. Overall conversion rate, the standard is like, I think industry standard is like 2%. Correct me if I'm wrong. Most of my stores sit anything from around about 3% up to, we've had as high as 6% before. But it very much depends again on your niche and the cost of your product, because a higher cost of a product, okay, if it costs $80, then of course you're going to have a lower conversion rate than something that is just more of an impulse buy at $30, right? So moving on, let me give you some actionable content, because this is what you're all here for. And again, I want to give away as much value as I can inside of this video to help you make some more sales with your Facebook adverts, okay? So if you've got a low link click-through rate and it's less than 1%, here's some things you want to be looking at, okay? So you want to make sure that you're improving your creative, because click-through rate is very much dependent upon your creative. So you want to be testing out new thumbnails, okay? You want to be testing out first 3 seconds. People like to call them the scroll stopper. So if you've got a video, just switch out the first 3 seconds to something which may be a little bit more engaging. Another thing you can do, of course, is test out ad copies, okay? Now, another thing that you can do is try a different audience, because like I've mentioned and you've seen in those ad sets, when we're testing out different audiences, every single audience is going to have the ad is going to resonate different with different audiences. Some will work better than others. And what we want to try and do is try and find the creative which is working great with another good audience. So try different audiences. The final thing that you can do is change your angle or your message with your creative, okay? You may be able to hone in on a specific demographic or sub niche within that audience. So, if you're targeting the interest is beauty is absolutely massive. However, if you're selling a lipstick product, then maybe the interest in lipstick may yield better results than the beauty interest, because it's a hell of a lot more bigger, right? So there are some things that you can do when it comes to your low link click-through rate, okay? Now, if you have high CPMs, more than $25, $30, remember at this moment in time, we are in Q4, so naturally CPMs are going to be higher. Expect them to increase. We've got a lot of things happening in the moment, at this moment in time in the world. And of course, November is the busiest time for people for spending online. So there'll be a lot of businesses, plowing their money into Facebook, right? So CPMs will increase. Now, what you can do, of course, is improve your creative, right? Engagement wins on Facebook. And I'll give you a little hack here, actually. One thing that I've always been doing is I hire a VA and they reply to all of the comments on any of the adverts, okay? And it's been helping create a dialogue on the adverts, okay? We don't just reply back with a link, we'll reply back with a question, and that then encourages the person who's commented to reply back to that question. And again, like I've said, on Facebook, engagement wins. So that's a little value bomb, or a little thing I wasn't planning to put in there, but there you go, okay? You can analyze, of course, your quality ranking. And there's a few things. There's conversion, there's engagement, and then there's your overall bid, I think it is. So you want to be making sure that you're looking at those and seeing where you can improve. Now, another thing you can do is try another ad account. Now, one thing I will say is that new ad accounts, CPMs are sky high. If I'm being 100% honest, they're like, demos are like 30 to 40. I've even seen $60 CPMs. So preferably you want to make sure that you are doing this on a aged account with previous spend. The more spend on the ad account and the more good standing that it's been in, generally what I find is the better the performance. So try out another ad account. Another thing you can do is you can go broad. So this is no targeting whatsoever. I wouldn't recommend this right off the bat, but no targeting once you're starting to get some sales. So no interest whatsoever. You just select a demographic. That demographic could be anything, such as 35 to 44-year-old women in United States. Just a massive broad demographic. And final thing is make sure that your page score isn't penalized. Now, of course, Facebook are extremely strict with this. So if your page score is consistently dipping, then of course they do restrict your reach, they like to call it, and increase your CPMs, etc. So check out those things. Now, let's say, for example, you are getting a lot of view contents. People are viewing the content, people are viewing the product page, but none of them, unfortunately, are adding to their cart. What do we do? It's less than 10%. So one thing you can do is improve your product page, right? Because that's where people are sticking at. You want to improve this product page. So you want to check your page load speed first and foremost. There's tests out there and theories out there that the lower that it is, the higher your conversion rate, okay? So every 1% that you can, every 1 second, I think you can reduce your load speed, the extra percent or something along those lines, it increases your conversion rate. I like to use GT metrics, okay? Go on that and check your page load speed. You want to make sure and shoot for around 3 seconds, okay? As close to 3 seconds as you possibly can. Just hire a developer if you don't know how to increase your page speed, okay? Just let the professionals do it. Now, another thing, of course, is improve your product descriptions. You want to be make sure that you're talking about the benefits of the product and not just specifically all about the features, trying to make sure that you're improving things on that front. Now, have you got social proof on your product page? Have you got reviews, okay? Have you got trust badges, right? Have you got any scarcity based in there? Now, I'm not talking about countdown timers. That's old school 2016 kind of style. I'm talking about even if it's just something along the lines of, how many people have purchased this product and we're running low on stock or something along those lines, but just implement some sort of scarcity inside of the product page. And of course, guarantees, offering, make sure you got free, easy returns, a 30-day money back guarantee, all these kind of things, okay? Just removing as many frictions as you can for any new purchaser. Now, you want to make sure, of course, you can try different pricing, something that a lot of people don't do. You can lower a product by $1, $2 and analyze, because the lower the product price, naturally, people are going to be more likely just to add it to cart. And of course, another thing that you can do is lower the price, but then factor in that price into the shipping. But remember, that may encourage people to drop off when they're at the initiate checkout page, okay? Now, if you're getting add to carts and your initiate checkout percent is less than 70%, what do you do? Well, what you need to do is you need to improve your add to cart page. Now, what you can do, what I've done previously, is add reviews to the cart page. This is, remember, if you are just sending people directly to the cart page. Okay, if you're using a draw cart, which I'll talk about in a moment in time, this isn't really, for you. But adding reviews to the cart page, adding trust badges to the cart page, and like I've mentioned, try using a drawer cart instead of a page, a direct page. Now, if you don't know what a drawer cart is, basically it's when people click add to cart, and what happens is the cart kind of draws out, so slides out to the side, and it will stay there for a few seconds, and then people can then click the continue to checkout button. So you can test using that, or test it going to a direct page. Another thing that you can test out, which I don't really do much of, but you can test skipping directly to the checkout. So it's completely skipping the cart page. So they click the buy it now button, and that directly goes to the checkout. That's something that you can also test out. Okay. Now, final point. Okay, let's say for example you've got low initiate checkouts. Sorry, that's supposed to be high initiate checkouts. So let's say for example you've got high initiate checkouts to purchase. That's not making any sense whatsoever, so let's just change that to initiate checkout to purchase percent is less than 50%. Okay, so if you get initiate checkouts but people are just not firing the trigger and purchasing, what do we do? Well, what you need to do is first and foremost improve upon your checkout page as best as you possibly can. At the moment in time, the amount of changes that you can make to your checkout page is extremely limited on your Shopify store or on your dropshipping store, because Shopify have limited that feature most of the time and only enable it to people who are on the Shopify Plus platform. Okay, but there are some things that we can do to try and improve it as best as we possibly can. Now, what you can do, of course, is add trust badges along with your logo at the top, okay? That's one thing that I always like to do. I always like to add in trust badges such as, the logo of the Visa, MasterCard, those kind of things, because remember, this is the page where people are putting in the money. So you want to make sure that you've got the familiarized, logos out there in the payment provider stratosphere, whatever you want to call it, so that people familiarize themselves with those and basically know that it's secure, that where they're purchasing and putting in their details. Now, another thing you can do is make sure that your button colors are consistent with your theme. So if you're using a green for your add to cart button, green for your continue to checkout button, don't then go and use a purple for your checkout buttons. It don't make any sense. One thing I always do and always like to do is do free shipping. Like I've mentioned, this is something to test out, but most of the time I like to do free shipping. It's just going to eliminate that drop off. And of course, what you want to do is make sure you've got pretty much most of the enabled alternative checkouts available. So PayPal, you want to make sure that you've got that on there if it's available in your country. Apple Pay, Amazon Pay, it doesn't, it's no harm in having those up at that checkout, okay? And then final point is, of course, there are some one-page checkout softwares that are out there. I think CartHawk are changing things as of now, and then there's a Checkout X. There's a few different ones that are out there, but again, you can test those out, at your own discretion. But there are some things that you can do to help push people over the edge to, try and make that purchase if you get a lot initiate checkouts and not purchase. So hopefully all of these things have, go back over this video, and hopefully they will help you make more sales with your Facebook adverts on your Shopify store. So hopefully you got some value from this video, and now you understand exactly how and what you need to look for when analyzing your Facebook adverts, running traffic to your Shopify or dropshipping store. If you did, then make sure, of course, you drop a like on this video and make sure you comment down below. I will be replying to as many comments as I possibly can. So make sure you drop a comment down below, even if it's just a comment for the algorithm. If you haven't yet got a copy of my 100% free ebook, covers everything to do with dropshipping, and inside here, it also has has all of the terminologies that I've mentioned in here: CPM, CPC, CTR, all those things that I've talked about. There is an explanation in this, so the link for that will be down below. Again, it's 100% free. Just go and get your hands on a copy. Hit me up on Instagram, Beast of Ecom. I have finally got my Instagram account back. It was banned for a period of time, but I'm fully grateful that I do have that back now. So hit me up on Instagram, drop me a like, drop me a DM, drop me a comment, and we can try and connect on there. But that is it for this video. Again, hopefully you got tons of value out of this video and you can finally go away, make those changes, and hopefully get some sales and have a wonderful Q4. So take care, and I'll see you in the next video.